the other feature we're going to go over in just a moment is the auto-assigned statement note based off of the remit code. So while you're actually working on the remit before you post it, you can assign statement notes. It will show up on the statement, and you can create your own statement note. You can add a custom statement note right on the fly. This is where you'll find the new button on your remit, this assign statement note button. And then you have a new column that's been added as well. It says internal note, and it'll actually show what the internal note is. So you can see from your transaction entry screen, if there was internal notes added on that charge line, you'll be able to see that actual note here as well, and vice versa. If you add it here within your ERA while you're posting it, you'll be able to see it in your transaction entry screen as well. So those are huge. We've had these features being requested for a while now, and we've finally gotten them added into this version 23. So I'm really excited about that. It's going to make posting your remit so much better. You're not going to have to go back and forth between the accounts when you're doing your posting anymore. So let's go over that. You also have an internal, here's what your internal note is going to look like here. So if you hit the assign notes button, you're going to see this screen that's going to pop up, and you can assign an internal note, and you can also assign a custom note. And I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. All right, and then this is where it's going to show up in your transaction entry screen. This little sheet of paper here is the indication that there's a note on the charge line. So when you click on that note, this is what it's going to look like. And this is what you'll see when it's been added from your remittance when you're doing your posting. So in this remit here, I've opened up one of my remits. So here's my remit. I haven't done anything to it yet. You haven't missed anything. So what I was just showing here is if you click on one of the line items that you want to add your note to, so I'm going to click the second line item here for J. Brimley, and you have your assign note button here. So you see these 4 buttons. It's the third one over, assign note. So when you click on that button, you have 2 boxes here. The top box is for your transaction notes for internal use only. So the notes you put in here, these are only going to show up in the transaction entry screen and on this screen. These notes in the top box here will not show up on statements, internal use only. The bottom half, this is where you can add codes, where you can select the code that's going to show up and the message will show up on the statement. Or you can type in a custom note here, right on the fly. So you can say this portion is due by whatever date. You can put whatever note you want in this section here. And you'll just click OK. And here's an indication that you have those notes. Here, if you can see my cursor circling. So here you have add internal notes. That's the note that I plugged in here. If I change that, update it. You'll see it's been changed, and you can see it as soon as you add the note. It's been updated here to see what your note is. That's going to show in your internal note. Next to it, right to the left of that, you'll see where it says custom. That's letting me know that I'm sending a custom note on the statement. So again, if I hit the assign notes button, you can see what that custom note is that I've typed in here. You also have a list you can add to. I've created these custom codes, so I can say, okay, this is a non-covered charge, or I can use this one actually, copay. Your insurance has indicated that you owe a copay. And I'll show you how to add these codes in just a moment. So I've selected the copay code, and here it's indicated that I'm using the copay note on my statement. And so this will show up on the statement. Please keep in mind that if you're using custom statements that you've created, this is not going to automatically be added to those custom statements. So you'll want to contact our support department or your account rep to get set up with someone to help you add those to your custom statements, because it's not going to automatically be added. It's only added to the statements that are standard, that are defaulted in Medisoft. So let me show you how to create those codes. So you're going to go to the list menu, and it's going to be almost to the very bottom here. It's the third to the bottom. It's going to be under Claim Rejection Messages. This is where you're going to set up those list of codes that you can place on the statement. So here we have the ones that you've seen on my drop-down list in the remittance screen. If you want to add a new code, just hit new at the bottom here. And it's basically whatever code you want and whatever description you want. So we can say, I'll put one that says termed. Coverage was terminated, or whatever you want to put here. Whatever you type here is what's going to show up on their statement. Please pay patient portion due or something like that. And you can add as many notes as you'd like here. It does have a date modified column. You can see when those have been added. So you can see that those weren't on previous statements printed out before these dates. And also you can print the list out so you have that list if you need to know exactly what those are. So once you add your code, you can also go into revenue management and assign those codes to automatically be populated on the statements that have certain ERA codes. So for example, I'm going to go to assign them, you're going to go to Activities and Revenue Management, and the top Revenue Management here on your list. You're going to go Configure and Preferences. But keep in mind, you will have to add those to your list. You'll have to create those codes first and then come in here. If you create the codes while the screen is open, you'll have to close out and go back in to refresh the screen so that those codes will be available to assign. So you're not going to have these many, well, hopefully you don't have these many columns here. I have these, they have different connections set up, but you should just have one or maybe two columns here for whichever clearinghouse that you're using. So in this case, I'm going to use my Change Healthcare column here, and you can assign the ERA posting code by finding the actual code you want. So for example, if I go to code 28, if you go to the bottom left-hand corner, if you hover over the number, just put your cursor right over it, it'll tell you what it means. And 28 is saying coverage not in effect at the time service was provided. So I'm going to go to my column for my receiver, where my remits actually come from. So my remits are coming from Change Healthcare. I'm going to go to the Change Healthcare column, click in the drop-down box, and here's my list of codes I can choose from. So I can say, this one I'll say terms. You can go in and assign as many of those as you want. Just know that when you auto-assign them, anytime this code 28 shows up on your remit, it's automatically going to send this note on the statement for that transaction line if there's patient portion due, of course. And then you'll just click the Save button. So that's how you can set those notes up. So I've set this copay up. I can assign that to, for my copay, for example, if I want to my copay code, I would assign that to code number 3. And this is how you can see what codes you need to actually assign those to. So if on the remit, if I hover over the ERA remit code, it's telling me that's my copayment amount. I can go back to that Configure and Preferences. And again, I'm going to go to Assign Statement Codes tab. And so for line number 3, I can go in and assign it here, copay. So it'll automatically show up. And hit save.
Hey, thanks for watching our video. If you want more videos like this, be sure to subscribe and also do us a favor and click that like button. Thanks again, and see you on the next one.